Hello, friends. This is your friend, Lizzy Jensen, and welcome to the Lizzy Jensen Show. So, I'm back today with another Sunday sermon. This is a new thing I'm trying out this season. So far, I love it. I'd love any of your input, your thoughts on how it's going, if it's helpful, if this is content that you're loving, if there's another way you'd like me to tweak it, or other ideas you have for me. I'm all ears. This is for you. But Sunday sermons are really a chance for me to come on and talk about God more openly, maybe even more in a more focused way. He is a big part of my story on how I found my voice and how I make my impact. And I thought, what a great opportunity for me this season to jump in and do a little bit more of that. I'm really thinking of the women out there who don't really have an opportunity to hear sermons on a Sunday or other days. If you're with little kids, if you're taking care of aging parents, if your health is bad and you're sitting at home, or if you just don't have a group of women that you get to talk to regularly about spiritual and religious things, this is for you. And for everybody else who does get to listen in and goes to church and just wants a little extra, good on ya. That is awesome. And I hope this is what you're looking for. So I'm taking all of my sermons from a conference in my church that happens every 6 months. I'm going through basically every sermon that's given. I may skip a few here or there. But this week I'm focusing on one called The Lord Looketh on the Heart by Ronald M. Barcelos. And there's a few shorter sermons in a row right here, and I've been reading them the past few weeks all the way through. And I love when it happens, when it just comes together, when I'm like, what can I really teach? What's a takeaway that's personal to me that could feel powerful, or maybe take a unique slant than what someone else would say on this topic or hear on this topic. And something came today that was really beautiful that I'm excited to share with you. So the topic starts with a story I'm going to read, just a short story. It says, when commanded to choose the new king of Israel from among the sons of Jesse, the prophet Samuel, upon looking at Jesse's oldest son, Eliab, exclaimed with enthusiasm, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. So backstory here, Samuel goes to find the king, and he goes to this house with a bunch of sons. He looks on the oldest and he's like, that's king material. I can see the way that guy looks, his stature, his build. I'm not sure exactly what he was looking at, but we have a couple clues in the text. That is king material. But this is what the Lord said back to Samuel. Look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as a man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. Samuel then proceeds to go find one of the youngest of the sons, David, who wasn't even brought before him as like material. He wasn't even counted as worthy to be considered as the king. And once Samuel looked on him, he knew, like, this is who the Lord has chosen. Then, of course, David goes on and he slays Goliath. A few mornings ago, I was teaching this to our kids at Family Devotional, and I started out by saying, so what does it take to be qualified to be in a dance performance? I have a daughter who's a dancer, who's two of them actually who are going to be in the Nutcracker here coming up. I said, what does it take? And they said, well, you have to have a tryout and audition, and you have to perform certain pieces. And one of my daughters is doing some tumbling in the Nutcracker. She's in a really fun dance. And she said, I had to do a certain amount of tricks. Here's all the things I had to do, and list them off. And then I turned to my husband and I said, what would it take to work at your company? And he lists off all the qualifications and what it would take. And a lot of it, he said, is just like being super excited to be there. But of course, you have to be good with numbers. He works in finance. We did this a few more times. And I said, now what about to show up and work for God? What kind of resume do you need? And they listed off a few things. They said, I think you need to be obedient. You need to be good. You need to want to do his will, keep the commandments. And I said, okay, well, tell me about Paul. His name was Saul first. Was he obedient? Did he keep the commandments? Did he make good choices? Was he doing things that looked like he would qualify? And we went through a few others, and we kind of whittled down the list and realized, wait, what does God even ask of us? What does he need of us to be his disciples? Are there qualifications? And it came down to the main point of what we're going to talk about today. There's only one thing that God needs to accomplish his work and to help him help you become who he knows you can become, and that is your heart. It's the only thing. He doesn't need you to be good at anything. He doesn't need you to be qualified in any way. He doesn't even need you, again, if we're looking at the example of Saul, who turned to Paul, he doesn't even need you to be righteous to call you to his work. He needs your heart. In the New Testament, Jesus Christ came to fulfill the old law. And a big part of that old law was the law of sacrifice, where they would sacrifice animals. And when Jesus Christ came, just before he died for our sins, he said, I'm doing away with this old law and we're going to institute a new law. And that new law now is, instead of bringing a broken animal and something that's broken and bruised and bleeding, I want you to bring your heart, a broken heart and a contrite spirit. I brought today a prop that, if you're listening in, I'll just tell you what it is. If you listen to the episode I did where I did some book recommendations, which would be fun to do another one of those soon, one of my favorite ones that I gave as a bonus was this massive, if you're watching, you can see it, American Dictionary of the English Language. It is huge. It was written in 1828 by Noah Webster, who was a Christian and a believer. If you want some really great study in what these old words mean now and meant back then, I highly recommend studying with this huge dictionary to the side of you. Case in point, when I looked up a broken heart, contrite spirit, the word that stuck out to me was contrite. What does that mean? If I'm bringing a heart that's broken before Jesus Christ, if that's what he wants, what does it mean to be contrite? Contrite from the Webster's dictionary means to break or bruise, rub or wear, literally worn or bruised. Hence, broken-hearted for sin, deeply affected with grief and sorrow for having offended God, humble, penitent. To me, this sounds like a person who recognizes their lack. I don't think it has to mean that you're not confident, but I do think it means that you recognize that it's not up to you, that you aren't the source of power, that it's God that's going to do the miracle and work the magic. And with this kind of heart brought to God, that's all God needs to do is work, right? And that's really great news for people like me who show up really broken often with all the things that I'm bringing Jesus Christ. We were listening, I know it's a little early for some of you, it's November only, but we were listening to a little bit of Christmas music this morning, and we're listening to The Little Drummer Boy. And I was thinking about the song of All the Offering, right? And that famous song, I can't really bring this or that, but I can play for him. That's the thing that I bring. And as I was thinking about bringing my broken offering, I had this image of a child coming to Jesus Christ, and he brings a little toy, or he brings the thing that means the most, and it's actually broken in his hands. Oftentimes there's not even use in my case for the things that I bring to Jesus. It's just like, this is all I have. This is what I got. But I'm here. And hopefully that's enough, because you are everything. You have everything. I want to share a story now that I shared with my kids this morning that came to mind. And this is the story of Handel, who wrote the Messiah, which is one of my favorite pieces and works of music of all time. There was a point in law school where I'd actually turn on the whole Messiah to do my studying. There's something about the music that's very ordered that was helpful for my mind to be ordered. I think I talked about this a little bit on the episode about music. I love the Messiah. How much do you know about the story of Handel? I want to tell it to you today. In 1741, Handel's past was filled with success. He'd enjoyed fame, royal favor, and major commissions. He'd composed music for King George II, like the coronation anthems, and his water music and royal fireworks music had made him a household name. But it was fading. His operas, once adored, were now out of style. English audiences were turning away from Italian opera, which had been Handel's mainstay. Critics were harsh, his opera company had folded, and he was facing financial collapse. Also, 4 years before, in 1737, he had suffered a stroke that had temporarily paralyzed his right hand. And by 1741, he was under immense stress, close to bankruptcy, struggling with depression and poor health, struggling with anger management issues, and nearly at the point of giving up music. Then came a turning point. A friend, Charles Jennens, gave Handel a new text. It wasn't a typical opera, but a sacred composition drawn almost entirely from Scripture, the prophets of Isaiah, the Psalms, and the New Testament. The subject was the life, death, and resurrection of Christ. This was a radical shift for Handel. He was Christian, but he hadn't worked on pieces like this before. But Handel took it on with the belief that a work like this would probably take him a year. What happened was nothing short of a miracle. In just 24 days, Handel completed the entire oratorio, 260 pages of music. At the end of his manuscript, he inscribed 3 letters, SDG, Soli Deo Gloria, to God alone the glory. Handel knew something else, or someone else, had done the writing. He once reportedly told his servant after finishing the Hallelujah chorus, "I did think I did see all heaven before me and the great God himself." He knew the masterpiece was for and from someone higher. Then came the premiere, April 13th, 1742 in Dublin. The performance raised funds for debt relief and freed many imprisoned for their inability to pay. The artist, once almost bankrupt, delivered hope. The one who faced creditors' threats gave us an anthem of redemption. I shared this with my kids and got emotional, like I'm getting right now reading it again. I can understand how Handel feels, that brokenness that we bring to Jesus Christ. Maybe we've done a few good things in our life and seen some things pay off here and there, whether it's in our parenting or in a marriage or with our chosen impact and career and purpose. But I think we all can understand how it feels to then be in our brokenness, that the things that used to work aren't working anymore, or maybe they've never worked at all. And we're just really wondering, like, can God use me? Am I good for anything? Is there any good ahead for me? And like Handel and like David, and like I've seen in so many other examples in my life, and like I've seen in my own life, I want to tell you that the Lord looketh on the heart, that there's nothing too big for him because he is eternity. He is everything. He is all knowing and all powerful. And when you have a partner like that, anything is possible. And I hope you feel that as you're listening to these words, that if God has a work for you to do, stop worrying about what you're bringing to the table. Just bring your brokenness. That's all he needs. That's all that's required. So how can we work on if the only thing he wants is our heart? I want to end with just a couple ideas of how we can work on our heart. I have ideas because I've had to do this a lot. I've had to work a lot on my own heart and on my own pride and on my own imaginings that it's going to be something great and something about me, and it just never is. When God does something great, when he has something great in store, the thing that I've realized is it doesn't actually matter what I bring, and sometimes it's inconsequential, and maybe the only thing it does is show God I'm willing. I saw this on my mission. I was working as hard as I could, trying to find families and individuals who wanted to know about Jesus Christ. And I was giving it all. I was exhausted at the end of the day. And I remember one day just saying, I got nothing left. I have given everything to find someone, and we have no one to teach. Surely there is someone in this city who needs your message, who needs your hope, who needs your redemption, who needs your forgiveness. And the next day, all of the work we had that we were going to do fell through. And we ended up getting on a little tram and being taken to an apartment building and kind of turned around and knocked on a door and found the most incredible family I've ever met in my life. And that's just how God works. Nothing I was doing directly impacted the fact that we found this family. But God saw me show up and give what I had, and its total brokenness and my broken language and my broken efforts and my broken ability to be a great companion. And he made something great of it. So, how do we work on our heart? 1, we can focus on God's priorities over our own. The world gives us a list of priorities that just don't measure up with God's. It looks like how we look. It looks like how we present ourselves to others. It looks like how successful the things are that we do in numbers or in money or in impact. And God just is different, right? Jesus Christ likely never walked more than a 60-mile radius. from where he was born. He didn't live a life where he traveled and toured and went on the speaking gig, right? Right? He was mostly just stayed in one area, went about helping people one by one. So focus on God's priorities. What are the things that he has put in your path that matter? Another one, get rid of the vain things. This is a phrase I keep seeing pop up in the scriptures as I'm reading right now, that the people who turned from God were more focused on the vain things of the world than they were of the things of God. Vain things are basically things that have no actual value or worth. And I like to think of that eternally. What are the things that when I die won't go with me? And am I focused more on those vain things, the things that don't go to heaven, than I am the things of God? And again, we can think of what these are. Am I focused more on appearance? Am I focused more on physical things? Am I focused more on how good I look or the things that I do look? Or am I focused on the things I take? My relationships, my knowledge, who I've become, my relationship with Jesus Christ and with God. Another one is trust and act. Begin to trust him, but then just go out and start doing things. Don't wait until you're perfect, right? Another one is to be in his word. If you want to focus on your heart, be in his word. Another one that I want to share, and this is the last thing I'll share as our tip, as our takeaway for today, is to trust in his arm and not your own arm. Those of you who have been here a while know that a hallmark of this podcast is becoming that I have no shame to share the things I struggle with or the things I'm not good at or the lessons that I've learned where I was once one way and have become another, which largely is because I was focusing on the wrong things, right? My heart was not in the right place and God wasn't able to use me at those times. Well, one of those times was just the last few weeks. And I have recently shifted so much. You've seen if you're watching this podcast or if you follow along on Instagram, I'm testing a bunch of new things. I'm trying some new things. The studio looks different. How we're clipping things is a little different. And as I've been watching my socials numbers, they haven't been as strong. And it's just like, it just feels painful. I try not to think about it because I know in a lot of ways it doesn't matter. But also from a business perspective, it does matter if things aren't resonating or if we're not hacking the algorithm, like that actually does matter. But we've changed so many factors, it's actually hard to drill down on what exactly is needing to be tweaked right now. And so over the past week or two, I've just been like praying, okay, God, help me to know what to do. Help me to know what to fix. Help me to have a discerning mind to know what's working and what isn't and what to tweak and what to not tweak. And the thing that I have felt and a prayer that I've actually written down that I want to read as we end this episode, what I felt from God was you are leaning too much into your own arm right now. And you're trying to take this on too much. And what I want you to do is to lean on my arm. So I thought, okay, what does that mean? How am I leaning too much and worrying too much and taking too much on myself? And this is the prayer that I wrote down that I want to share as we close. Lord, I am doing the best with what I know and the time that I have. I am trying to leave it on the field every day. I know my offering, actually start this prayer over, Connolly. And so I've been trying to figure out, how do I lean on God's arm? And I feel like I was giving a little bit of a prayer. This is the prayer of the broken. This is the prayer that I'm going to tuck away to leave on the altar now as I bring things to God, whether it's for now my socials, but will be lots of other things. And this is the prayer. Lord, I'm doing the best with what I know and with the time I have. I'm trying to leave it on the field every day. Lord, I know my offering is broken and bruised and so weak compared to what you create. But Lord, it's the best I have. Lord, please accept my offering and do with it what you will. If you want me to do better, please show me a better way or lead me to the people who can show me. And if not, please help me feel the satisfaction of discipleship with the offering that I've given. I just want to leave that with you, that as you come to God, just bring your brokenness. That's all he wants. That's all he asks for. That's all he needs. He doesn't need anything else to do his work or to help you become who you can become and who he knows is inside you. I hope these takeaways were helpful. I hope it was a moment of worship for you and of truth to know who you really are and who God knows you are and how he sees you. And I hope you take these takeaways and you apply them in your life and you go take action on something that you heard today. And if there's something that you're being called to do right now or you're feeling in your heart, write that thing down and commit to do it. And I promise you that better things are ahead as you act on the things that God brings to you now. And until next time, go take this, make something great happen from it, or get Until next time, I can't wait to see you on the next episode of the Lizzy Jensen Show or on the next Sunday sermon.